Very much. Really excited to be here. Thank you for staying in your seats. I realized you could get up and get coffee. It will be fast. I don't know if it's going to be as fast as that Mustang Mach-E that they just unveiled, but it will be definitely fast. We're going to talk about a different kind of AI, perhaps one that we should be talking a lot more about, which is aspiration and inspiration. So we do this thing at Pinterest where we introduce ourselves through what's going on in our lives, and I think it's particularly relevant for automotive because ultimately it's sort of your lifestyle that drives your vehicle affinity, not the other way around. You don't buy a Jeep and then the next morning wake up and love the outdoors. You love the outdoors, which is why you bought that Jeep. So let's start with some definitions. Aspiration, which is a hope or ambition of achieving something. And its very close cousin, inspiration, which is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something. And when you take these two together, you actually have a really interesting dynamic, where aspiration is something that grows within you, and inspiration is something you seek to ingest from the outside in. Well, at Pinterest, we're building the world's inspiration company, and our mission is specifically to bring everyone the inspiration to create a life they love. So you see, we explicitly reference inspiration, and if you think about aspiration in that phrase, a life they love, it comes to life. Like this presentation. And the everyone that we're referencing includes a lot of people that are buying luxury vehicles, including households that we reach 6 in 10 households with adults that make 100K plus. We also reach, as you might imagine, with Strength of Women audiences, where we reach 8 in 10 adult women with HHI 100K plus. But why you should care is it's not just that we reach them, it's that they're turning to brands like yours for inspiration. So we did some research this summer and we set out to surface a few things. What does luxury mean to people on Pinterest? How does Pinterest offer a unique luxury experience? And really exploring that luxury shopper's mindset and motivations. What emerged were 3 insights. First, luxury on Pinterest is more than prestige, it's personal. Second, luxury on Pinterest is active and not passive. It's visualization and, importantly, actualization. And third, it's about being connected with your car, not just to your car. So there's sort of this myth, right? Luxury is a prestige experience. It's models and mansions and yachts and champagne lifestyles and caviar dreams, if you're old enough to get the reference. Or maybe if you're not, the Fire Festival. On Pinterest, we know it's a personal pursuit. And they're really purchasing not to flaunt it, but as an expression of their identity, which is why they're much more likely to say that luxury purchases make them feel true to themselves. Or as we'd like to say, it's about yourself and not your selfie. And importantly, half of them believe luxury is authenticity. And they want real and authentic content. They want to see real-life images and examples. I'll try this. And that's because they're trying to envision your car as part of their life. 83% of them say a car is a representation of their future. And that's because it's those big life moments that are happening in our future that are driving them to purchase in the first place. And so we did some research, and what we found is that most Pinner households were over-indexing for big life moments right around the time that they were purchasing luxury vehicles. So whether it was getting married, buying a new home, or expecting a child, these were the things that were happening in their lives right before they went out and made that luxury vehicle purchase. Which takes us to our second insight, which is luxury on Pinterest is active and not passive. This myth that it's high-end dog outfits or Bentleys or designated shoe closets. Really what we found is that it's about visualization and actualization. It's not about liking someone's selfie standing next to a Ferrari. It's about visualizing the life that they want. Sometimes you don't know it until you see it, which is why they come to Pinterest early for those ideas. And that very act of pinning something actually makes them closer to feeling like they're owning it. And so this is probably my favorite stat of the whole research, where if a pinner sees something that inspires them and they tap on it, right? They sort of touch that item and they save it to a board that they name that's something that's relevant to them, they're much more likely to feel like they're closer to owning that product. But it's not just about that feeling, it's actually owning. And so what we know is that they're also much more likely to buy luxury across their lives. So whether it's buying a high-end Jenn-Air appliance, booking that first-class airfare, picking up the latest gifts and gadgets at Williams or Sonoma, or putting it all on their Amex Black Card, they're actually buying, trying, and doing those things in life, including buying luxury vehicles. And so while we know Pinterest households over-index for buying vehicles in general, thanks to our friends at Polk, we also know that they're much more likely, 23%, to buy a luxury SUV and 16% more likely to buy a luxury sedan. But what's even more important than them buying the sedan is when they buy it, or buying that SUV is when they buy it. They're 28% more likely to buy that new vehicle within the first 90 days of its launch. So if you're a marketing manager and you're responsible for generating momentum early in a launch's cycle, the people that are on Pinterest are buying those vehicles at a much greater rate in that first 90 days. So we'd actually like to say this cycle goes a little bit like this, all the way from aspiration to doing that thing that you wanted to achieve. Which brings us to our third and final insight, that it's about being connected with your car and not just to your car. So this myth that luxury cars are just extravagant or unnecessary, for pinners, they're actually a part of their lives. And the cars are often a tangible embodiment of achieving their aspirations. We heard that in some of the talks earlier, that they bought it to achieve a goal. But it's not just achieving that goal where it ends. It's actually that deeper emotional relationship that they start. 84% say the vehicle is an extension of their life. Like this luxury pinner who loves spending time driving his vehicle, caring for it, and in his words, it's like his best friend. So what do we do with our best friends? We spend time with them, which is why 93% say they like to spend time in their luxury vehicles. And a lot of that quality time is on the road, where they're almost twice as likely to take their vehicles on vacations, road trips and weekend getaways, or even importantly, just driving for pleasure. We also heard this word sanctuary. And for a lot of people, when the pedal isn't to the metal, they actually talk about their luxury vehicle as being a place that allows them to take their mind off of other things in their lives. So we'd love to build on it one more and say that if you start with this thing that you want to achieve, and you find this inspiration for it, and then you go out and you actually make it happen in life, you are, in essence, creating the life you love. And with that, I'll end. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to take them as we go into the break. We've got a team back here. If you guys raise your hands, we'd love to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.
John, thank you. That was great. Inspired.
Was it fast?
Yeah.
You said don't hold them up.
No, man, you were great. You went right through it. That was awesome. Any questions for John right now? And raise your hand. Where's your team here? Raise your hand if you're with John's Pinterest team here in the back in the middle. Okay. Any questions? All right. Well, I'll tell you what.
Twitter guy? Okay.
Twitter guy? Twitter guy?
I have a question.
I'll see you at the bar.
Okay. Tanya has a question.
I always have questions. So you gave a lot of interesting stats. Are there, and I know this is touchy, but you know, I'm a journalist, I ask touchy questions. Are there any automakers who are using Pinterest well, and how so?
You're going to make me say that in front of the whole audience. So yes. So pretty much every major OEM has some presence on Pinterest today from like an organic standpoint, and or they're doing paid advertising to supplement that. I think the auto brands that are doing it well, and in fact, we were on stage with Lincoln talking through some of the insights here very recently. I think the brands that are doing it well are the ones that understand what's going on in their consumers' lives and then creating content that's connecting to that so that people feel like when they see this, this is a vehicle for someone like me. So I'll call out, that's one brand that I can think of off the top of my head. They've leaned into the insights, things like Sanctuary, et cetera, and they've actually brought that through within the work that they're putting on Pinterest.
People spend so much time on Pinterest. It just seems like a natural vehicle for advertising.
She said it.
I'm not just saying that because he's one of our sponsors. Any other questions from any of you beautiful people out here?
Okay, well, we have a networking break, and you can grab the Pinterest folks here. If you have more questions, we're going to have coffee and discussion. So please feel free for